What's up, guys? Welcome to the Win Daily Week 7 main slate preview. I'm coming at you live here from the Win Daily Studios, and we're going to be talking about DraftKings Week 7. Let's dive in. Let's get started. Let's dive right in. All right, so first, starting at the quarterback position, Russell Wilson, $6,600 on DraftKings. He's averaging 27 DraftKings points per game this season. And I like really pairing him with running back Chris Carson at $6,500. So if you look at Russell Wilson in the lineup for this week, you have him paired with a bunch of other quarterbacks, up above 6.5K. But if you look at, fantasy points per game, you see that Russell Wilson is 27 points per game. That's just fractional amounts behind guys like Lamar Jackson, Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson, and yet he is priced at $6,600, which I really love. And then you see the kind of the break off there. Then you see Kyler Murray down to 23.2, and then guys like Stafford and Rivers coming in below 20 points per game. So there's really a bunch of quarterbacks in this area that you want to target for this matchup this week, guys. And I think Russell Wilson is the play here against the Baltimore defense. I think the Baltimore is very overrated. And I think if you're playing in cash, Russell Wilson pairing with Chris Carson, I think is an excellent move. Again, when you look at them together, their combining floor over the past 6 weeks is averaged out to 46 DraftKings points. So if you look at it that way, you're getting 23 fantasy points even from each guy in a cash lineup. That is absolutely perfect. So I love Russell Wilson and Chris Carson in cash games. And I think they both have ceilings that you can use in GPPs as well. The Ravens are allowing 6.3 yards per play, which is the third highest mark in the NFL this season. And what I really love about stacking with Russell Wilson in GPPs is DK Metcalf. 4,800. He is a great play as a cheap wide receiver this week. Metcalf ranks second in the NFL in end zone targets, and without Will Dissly, he should continue to see those looks from Wilson. Metcalf projects to face off against versus newly acquired cornerback Marcus Peters, and he's already beaten Marcus Peters deep this year when the Seahawks earlier this season played the Los Angeles Rams. On the other side, looking at the Ravens, I think it's really all about Mark Andrews. Marquise Brown looks like he's going to miss this game, and we saw that the consolidated target share that went to Mark Andrews last week. So I think we're going to continue to see more of Mark Andrews in action at 4,900. If you're looking at the tight end position, you'll see that there is a lot of guys around that $4,000 salary. You have, Mark Andrews at 4,900. You have Austin Hooper at 5,300. You have Waller at 4,700. And you have the uber popular Hunter Henry, who's probably going to be pretty chalky. I think Mark Andrews is really the best play here. I think in a vacuum, he's the best spot. Seattle is not good against the tight end. Seattle allows the fourth most fantasy points to the tight end position and the fourth most receiving yards to the tight end position. And when opponents are targeting the tight end position versus Seattle, the passer rating is on 122.1. So Mark Andrews, I think, is in a smash spot. I think that, especially if you're doing a late game swap, and you're playing Hunter Henry in cash, try to get up to Mark Andrews. I think that will help you kind of push you over the top. In a cash game or in a regular seasonal league, I would play Andrews over Hunter Henry every day of the week. So, in games where Andrews has seen at least 7 targets in each game this year, and Seattle has allowed 7 targets when they've done that to the tight end position, those tight ends have averaged 16.2 fantasy points per game. So now going into our next play, this is probably one of the most chalkiest plays of the slate at the wide receiver position. It's going to be T.Y. Hilton. So we've seen this from T.Y. Hilton, against the Houston Texans. The dude absolutely owns the Texans. It's just like clockwork. So I really love to play and plug in T.Y. Hilton here at 5,900. I think it's way too easy. He's too cheap, honestly. He's a number 1 wide receiver against a terrible defense that he's just totally owned in the past. You look at his past matchups against the Houston Texans, and it's just astonishing how the numbers he's put up. So T.Y. Hilton averages over 100 yards per game when he plays the Texans. Every single year, it's 100 yards plus, touchdown or not. Hilton's a must-play. I think you can play him in cash. You can play him in GPPs. I think he's going to be highly owned, but I don't really care. He's just a really good play, so I would continue to play him. Another chalky guy that you definitely need to have in your lineups is Leonard Fournette. The guy has way too much. He's getting way too many touches, and the matchup against the Bengals is comical. The Bengals are absolutely putrid against running backs. They've been absolutely destroyed by them this year, and if you don't have Fournette, I feel like you actually could be really hurting your lineup. Especially at his price at $7,000. He is just way too cheap as a running back. Cincinnati gives up the second most fantasy points to the running back position. So with all the touches that Fournette is getting this year, I think that he is a perfect play at $7,000 as your running back, as another running back to play in this matchup. Again, now looking ahead, we have another guy I really like. So looking at, it's about the Rams. That Rams matchup against the Atlanta Falcons is a huge game where there's going to be tons of points scored. And one thing I just want to point out, and I think it's really important to just not overlook, is Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is at 6,400, and the Rams have the highest, or tied with the Bills for the highest implied team total on the slate. So you can't just ignore Todd Gurley. Yes, he's injured, but no one is going to play Todd Gurley. But when you look at just the logistics of this game, you see, okay, we have the running back on the team that's supposed to score the most points. Todd Gurley, all he's done this year is basically score touchdowns. And that could be, he could get 3 touchdowns in this game. He's going to be the goal line back. Malcolm Brown doesn't look like he's going to play. And Todd Gurley is going to be so low owned. No one's going to play him. No one's talking about Todd Gurley. But it's just something to note. And the thing is about Jared Goff, yes, he's in a smash spot. If you're ever going to play Jared Goff, it would be this week. But the thing to note about Jared Goff is that he may not have a shot. He sucks on the road. That is a fact. And I know that a lot of it's because, he's getting pressured and the Falcons don't give up pressure. Yes, I do think that Goff is also a really good GP play this week. But if you want to fade off of Goff and fade kind of off of the Rams passing attack, it would be Todd Gurley. If you don't want to, go up to guys like Kupp. I really do like Brandon Cooks in this matchup. Brandon Cooks is at 5,400, so he's really, really cheap. And he's leading the team in air yards. He and the Falcons have allowed the third most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. So Brandon Cooks, I really like in this matchup. So he's a receiver that I'm really targeting. I think you can play him in cash, honestly. I think he's that much of a lock that he's going to do really well. But again, guys, do not overlook Todd Gurley. I think that Todd Gurley could really benefit in this matchup. And like I said, he is going to be so super low owned. It's going to be absurd how low owned he is. But he is in a good spot. The Falcons' defense is trash, so he can make some noise. Now, here we have, looking ahead, one of my other favorite quarterbacks, and Daniel Jones, our DFS pro, David Jones, is on him as well, is Daniel Jones. So my guy, Daniel Jones, I've met him in person again, and I'm obviously touting him once again, but he is in a really interesting spot this week because he's facing the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals have been absolutely terrible against quarterbacks. Basically, everyone that's played them has just done exceptionally well. The Cardinals rank third worst in fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position. The Giants rank fifth worst in fantasy points allowed to the quarterback. So basically, this game is screaming to be a shootout against two defenses that can't stop anyone and two rookie quarterbacks. So it's going to be fun. Daniel Jones is 6,100, so he's coming in a little bit lower price than some of these other guys. So I do like that part on this type of matchup here. So that's probably why I like Daniel Jones. And the other thing about Daniel Jones to note is he, according to NFL Next Gen Stats, so he has the highest rate of aggressive passes this season. So he is chucking the ball down the field into tight windows. So that's two things you can take away from that. One, yes, he's going to make big plays. So Darius Slayton at 4,100 as a low-end wide receiver is someone you definitely want to target in GPPs. He's 4,100. He leads the Giants in air yards, and his ADOT is 18.2 down the field. Patrick Peterson is back, yes, which it could also even make Darius Slayton even less owned, but Patrick Peterson's not going to shadow Darius Slayton. He's a rookie wide receiver. Yeah, there's chances that Darius Slayton will draw his coverage at points, but he's not going to cover him the whole game. It only takes one or two big plays from Slayton to really help benefit, and Daniel Jones has shown that, hey, he's out there going to sling the ball. So I really like Daniel Jones as another guy to play in GPPs this week. So guys, looking back at the whole roster construction here, so we're going to add in Metcalf as well to go along with Russell Wilson. So let me just find him in this here. So at 4,800 for Russell Wilson. And all we need now is a flex. And I really think about guys like obviously Dalvin Cook is a really great play this week, especially in cash games. I think that he could absolutely smash. I really like, from a defense special teams standpoint, again, I talked about Daniel Jones. I think that a guy that could easily benefit there as well is Darius Slayton. So again, the Cardinals defense, So the Cardinals defense could do really super well against the Giants because Daniel Jones is slinging the ball out here in the flats. But I think it's actually, in GPPs, it's a week to pay up a defense. So you have the 49ers and the Bills. I really like the 49ers defense. I think that they're going to get after the Redskins. So leaving us with $4,900, who can we fit in the flex here? I'm not loving a lot of these roster builds up here, so I might need to pay down more at defense. I like the Saints defense as well at $2,900. The Bears are super prone to turnovers, so I do like that in this matchup. I think Marlon Mack is also in play here as well. So Marlon Mack coming in at $6,000. And Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, I think, is a huge GPP leverage play. I think the Chargers defense is actually crap. They got destroyed by running backs last week. So Derrick Henry is someone else that you really should target in GPPs. Derrick Henry's a great pivot off of a guy like Chris Carson. So if you wanted to play like a Chris Carson type, I think that he could be an option here as well. So I'm actually going to throw in Chris Carson, as I talked about him with Russell Wilson. And then looking at defense, so we have 2,500 left. And I mentioned them before, the Cardinals defense against the Giants. So again, simple lineup construction here, guys. Something that you can use in cash games, or into GPPs. But again, main thing takeaway. So you don't always want to pay up at the receiver position. A lot of times it just doesn't work out. Pay up at running back. That's where you should use your funds. Pay up at running back. Go down cheap at receiver. And remember, Allen Lazard, $3,000 on DraftKings this week if a lot of Packers injuries. So thanks again for tuning in today, guys. I hope that I've given you the information that you can use to take down this slate this week. And good luck to you in Week 7.